Hi, everyone. My name is John Gonzales. I am a returning citizen who has spent about 12 and a half years in prison, and I'm currently building my life to the best of my ability with the love and support of my family, my friends, my peers, and of course, this beautiful sangha community, who I hold in the highest regard. Um, yeah, so as many of you may know, my time in prison wasn't the easiest. I've had my shares of ups and downs, many ups, but there were some downs. And even after earning my release a little bit earlier than expected, there was a large part of me that had this sense that something wasn't quite right. It was almost like imposter syndrome, where I didn't feel like I should be free, even though I did everything in my power to earn that freedom as soon as possible. My last few years inside, I spent a lot of time reflecting on the path that led me inside those four walls. And it was the craziest thing, where thinking about everything that led up to what my actions were, it was really hard to look at myself like, how could I? How is this possible with the person you are now? And it took a lot of energy and tears and staring at a blank wall and just walking in the night by myself to, gain some clarity on this. And now I'm early in my practice with this. And what I mean by this is this Buddhist practice. And I stand before you as a man who is on the cusp of becoming the best at whatever I want to do. I stand before you as somebody who loves all, who tries to show that compassion is so important. It's to show everyone that second chances are not a waste. And it's a mentality that has carried me since my release just over 4 years ago. And one of the biggest things, or hurdles, I should say, for me in terms of getting to this point, when I first got released, I didn't have this train of thought. But one of the biggest hurdles for me was actually me forgiving myself. Even though I would tell myself that, yeah, I forgive you, John, I understand. Sometimes it didn't really last. I would hear it and it wouldn't fully sink in. But lately, I've been going through this process of forgiveness and learning a little bit more about it. And now I'm starting to understand, with a little bit more of the teachings and a little bit more of the study, that forgiveness is not about turning the other cheek. Like, I don't want to forget my past. I don't want to let myself continue that behavior either. And I don't want to think of myself as a heartless person. But I feel that real forgiveness is about letting go. Um, in my practice, I've learned that I guess Buddhism teaches us that we are able to forgive and get on with our own lives. And this is forgiving ourselves and those who have wronged us. And in my case, and I'm sure in many people's cases, that awareness and understanding of real forgiveness, it would allow them, and it has allowed me, to let go of holding on to resentment against myself and the hurt I caused myself. So with that, I've come to the conclusion that without forgiveness, especially forgiveness to myself, I am chained to the past. But after 12 and a half years in prison, I no longer want to be chained. I want to be free. So these two ideologies, being chained to my past, but not being able to forgive myself, they were two conflicting thoughts. So I really had to look within and to understand how come it was so difficult for me to forgive myself. And I realized that forgiveness is a really, really tender process. I've gone through so many stages to get to this point. Grief, sorrow. I was so angry at myself. So like, I guess rage. There was confusion at why I couldn't instantly do it. And fear, like, what if I did forgive myself? Would I commit another crime? Would I look the other way when somebody else was? I just was worried about that. I thought I should never forget. And if I forgive myself, I would forget. But no, I let myself feel that pain. I still hold to this day. And now that I've realized what helps alleviate that pain is forgiveness. Forgiveness to myself for my actions. I realized that forgiveness gave me a sense of relief. And it allows me to, I guess, acknowledge how much I have suffered because of my actions, how much my community has suffered, how much my family has suffered, and of course my victim, and everyone else who was affected by my actions. And I hold all these people in my head and in my heart because I don't want to forget, but I also don't want to hurt anyone. So this process of learning to forgive myself, I had to learn a little bit more about Buddhism, to be honest with you. I am a novice in my practice. And I was learning, I guess, in the last maybe 8, maybe 9 months about chakras. And I learned that there are 4 chakras in Buddhism. I could be wrong, but this is my reading in pronunciation. The first is Manipura, the navel, Anahata, which is heart, Vishuddha, which is throat, and Ushnisha, Kamala, which is crown. So I bring up these 4 chakras because I learned that the heart chakra is actually the spiritual bridge between what's in your mind and what's in your heart. That forgiveness, even though I wanted it so bad for myself, I almost felt like I didn't deserve it. I wasn't good enough. I wasn't worthy enough. So that mentality, I thought, was really wrong. And I started to think, if anahata, the heart chakra, is an actual heart, because I am a biologist, what if there was a blockage in it? Like, you would have a heart attack, right? Like, physiologically. So if there is a blockage in the heart chakra, in my mind, I thought it would not only impede my ability to forgive myself, I thought it would keep me chained to my past. It would not allow me to move forward. It would not allow me to grow spiritually. So I had to clear that blockage. And I just was so certain that there was a blockage in my heart. I just couldn't figure out how to unclear it. But then I started thinking about why I even have a blockage in the first place. And I think it's because I held a really, really strong grudge. And this grudge was actually against myself. How dare this man do what he did to earn that stint in prison? What an idiot. You had known better, yet you chose to do something illegal. You chose to enter an illicit relationship with an underage girl. You chose that even though you knew it was wrong. I couldn't find the how do I put it, the compassion to forgive myself. I didn't have empathy for myself. And that led me to reduce joy. I didn't have as much peace mentally as I thought I could have. And there were little things that I couldn't enjoy gratitude from, like getting an A on a really difficult exam. Most people would jump up and down. I would think to myself, yeah, it's just an A. But looking back on it a year ago now that I'm in graduate school, that was a really hard exam, and I'm glad I got an A. That's probably why I'm in grad school. But it took a long time for me to let go of the grudge against myself. And finding a way to extend forgiveness to myself, in hindsight at least, seemed to be one of the most essential things I had to do to move forward and grow from my existence, my history, my stint in prison, all the barriers that have been placed in my path by my actions. I had to figure out how to forgive myself. And it started with taking a really, really honest look at my own life and sitting there, not looking in a mirror, but just sitting there. I could see the sorrow and the pain and all the trauma, I guess, that led me to the wrongdoing that led me to my stint in prison. But I also thought, if I really do forgive myself, that pain will probably go away. And I owe myself. I really worked hard for this. I should have mercy on myself. And I thought, okay, this is great. Now I'm logically thinking, I should be merciful to myself. I earned this. So I'm on the right path now, right? So I thought to myself, oh, I must be wise, because now I'm able to really think about forgiving myself. I'm wise now because I'm willingly acknowledging what I did is wrong, unjust, and incredibly harmful to so many people around me. I was brave enough to recognize not only my suffering, but everyone's suffering around me in the past. And I was able to understand the conditions my actions brought about. So what did this lead to me? This told me that I was strong, and there is strength to forgiveness. When we forgive, we can say, never again will I allow this to happen. I gave myself permission to understand the harm I've caused. You know, at the same time, when I think about all this, sometimes I wonder, have I really forgiven myself completely? Resolving the past, you know, now maybe I have hatred in my heart, maybe I have bitterness. I mean, yeah, that's possible, but I'm here with you all now. I am doing everything I can to better myself, my community, and those around me. I think forgiving myself has allowed me to be the best version of myself. Many people who are still inside, my brothers in there who I still can't say hello to legally, have probably wondered where my life has been taking me and where it's probably going to go. It's been a long 4 years, and I've done a lot in that time. But I know many of them are thinking about me, but I think about them too, because I know many of my buddies in there struggle with forgiving themselves. They're either, you know, stuck with the thought that they should never get out, even though they have release dates, or I want to get out, but I don't know what to say when I go to my board hearing. It's incredible how the mentality is when hope runs thin. And I wish I could say to my brothers inside that forgiveness is key, because I think if I wasn't able to forgive myself, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I am today. I see people in general as loving beings who can experience peace, who deserve joy, who are capable of empathy and full of compassion. But a lack of forgiveness to yourself, I think, is a complete blockade of that. I looked at people and I wonder, what have they done, if anything, no matter how small or insignificant or big or crazy or illicit, whatever? There's always something somebody has with them, within them, that they can forgive themselves for. And I find myself wondering if I can maybe just say hello to a stranger and ask, or even a friend who I'm already familiar with, just to see if conversation starter can basically open the floodgates to a conversation that can possibly change someone's life. And I find myself trying to do that, even though it's really difficult. But now that the pandemic has started to ease up, it's a little bit better for me to reach out a little bit more. And I just really want everyone to know that it's okay to forgive yourself, no matter what you've done, small or big. It's really okay. People will still love you as long as you love yourself and give yourself the best of everything this world has to offer. And most people, when they get that second chance, it's so precious. I took that second chance and held it so tightly, and it just, I think about it every day, to be honest with you. But forgiving myself again was one of the hardest things I continue to do. Because I don't know if it's a practice or not, or if it's a simple decision, because I've decided to forgive myself many times, but the feelings either are still so deeply rooted within, or they just bounce back. And I find myself thinking like, oh crap, there's this imposter syndrome again. What do I do? So for me, it is a work in progress. And I just have to realize that forgiveness is akin to strength. Whether you're a perpetrator like myself, or a victim of a crime, or a wrongdoing, or on any point in the spectrum, there is forgiveness available. There are people who are willing to listen to you, to hear your story. People in this sangha, for example. And I just wanted everyone to know that holding grudges, especially for me, was my block. I held a grudge against myself. And what I mean by my block was it impeded my ability to be receptive of everything that the heart chakra offers. Yeah. Everything I've said right now, I feel really warm and fuzzy inside sharing it, because I don't often talk about forgiveness. It's a real struggle for me. And I don't know, I just feel really open with this sangha to be able to speak open-heartedly and talk about something so difficult for me. And I honestly feel that this topic of forgiveness will allow me to be an even better version of myself. And I hope people who hear what I'm saying now, hear my words, will maybe get some courage out of it, and maybe allow them to forgive themselves too. Because again, it's super important to move on, to grow and live and love. But yes, I don't want to keep it too long. Dear Sangha, thank you so much for this opportunity.